coaching or training to
Hmm.
organizations. So my main contact is often the HR person in an organization, but there's probably only one person and they're busy paying people, etc. So they bring me in to be able to help them.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. So it's like actually working with corporates. Did we just lose someone? Ivy, maybe I'll give you like a co-host so you can get people in case there's more people joining, something happens to this,
Okay.
my
Okay.
internet or something weird. Good to have you. So yeah, I'll try to think about the corporates as well, because I actually also have a corporate sideline, and I'll actually show you the corporate example, Sarah, so that would be really good. And I'll know, Gina, you're also thinking about the corporate, so I think this is going to be really, really useful. And I'll talk you through my most recent summit that I did, and also sort of the guest speaking that I'm doing. And I want to make it really, really kind of, like a functional kind of conversation, right? So if you have questions, let's just make it a conversation. It's not just me sort of talking to you. So oops, we've got someone else coming in right now. Okay. And yeah, I mean, feel free when you join in. I'd love to understand, maybe just leave it in the chat. Someone else who comes in, just let us know what you do so that we can make it very, very relevant. So welcome. I am Sabine Matharu, and do you know what? I call myself the Evergreen Sales Queen, but do you know what? Actually, I want all of you to become Evergreen Sales Queens. That's my mission, is to help others to also become visible, because I believe we all need to share our gifts and make the world a better place. And so one of the ways to do that is obviously we need to be visible, right? I mean, the first question will be to you guys, like what's visibility to you, and why do you think we need to be visible? So we're going to go through a couple of strategies, and then I'm going to share with you. I'm going to really screen share as to what pages I had for the summits, how do I do the guest speaking, and obviously because you're here today, you'll actually get also a bonus, which is a checklist that I've created that you can take away and, just put your action points down at the end. Okay. So what's sort of my mission and why am I here? So the Evergreen Sales Queen event series, that's what this is. The goal is really to help female coaches, consultants unlock their full potential when it comes to evergreen sales strategies and business automation, making it the best place to learn how to scale and grow their empires with ease, all while connecting with a powerful community of like-minded queens. Wow, that's really a mouthful. I just realized it's just one big sentence. But yeah, there's a lot sort of packed into this. The story is that I came out of corporate myself about 12, 13 years ago when my kids when my second child was born, and I just didn't want to go back anymore. I thought there was more that I could do. And I reinvented the wheel so many times that I got really kind of tired about this. And this is why I came to the conclusion, hey, I think so many other women might be struggling in this space where they're kind of trying something, but it's not quite working, and then they're reinventing it rather than just working on the foundations that they've created and optimizing it. So this whole notion of evergreen is actually, let's create really solid foundations, because there's so many shiny objects out there, right? Let me know if you think that you just go and watch a YouTube clip and it's like this next best sort of software that you might need in your business, or you're gonna build another page and you think, yeah, this is gonna solve the problem. But actually what I noticed is actually creating real solid business foundations, building on top of them, and then being consistent. That's really what this whole event series is going to stipulate. It's talking about the different strategies that really work and that work long term, and not just today and they don't work anymore tomorrow. Okay. So why, and yeah, feel free just to drop in the chat. Why do you think visibility matters? I think that's like why we're here, why we're actually thinking about visibility, right? I assume you all have a business. We all want clients. And I guess visibility is the way to let people know what you do. And how they can work with you, right? So it's probably as simple as that. And also notice that not everyone wants to be visible in the same way, and sometimes visibility can be a bit scary, because sometimes we feel like we're imposters, and who are we to actually show up and teach others or tell others, and why should they listen to me? There may be all of these sort of things going on in our heads when it comes to stepping out and being visible, right? And I think we gotta actually turn this around a little bit. And whilst I'm not a mindset coach, I talk a lot about strategy, but I really notice that we need to actually think, what can we bring to the table? And we owe it to ourselves, and we owe it to our clients to actually show up and be visible and sharing with them freely what we're doing or what we're up to, because it could really, really help them, right? This is why, one of the reasons why I'm doing these events, because I want to serve and I lead with value. I'm visible and you get something out of it. So there's a way to be visible in the wrong way, I guess, in the way where it's like really salesy and you're not really providing anything and it's not really building trust. But there's the other way, and this is why I actually talk about things like summit and speaking. And when I talk about these things, it's like we are creating a valuable asset. We're actually giving a lot of amazing things away for free, right? That's how I'm doing it in my business, and it's working extremely well. And never think that you give too much away, because the thing is that, like, I can teach you everything about summits now, but are you going to go away and implement your summit? Say maybe you want to work with someone to help you with the summits because you're like, oh yes, this is a great idea, but I'm not quite sure the nuts and bolts. So what is that for you in terms of what you offer and how you offer your services? You might be visible creating a workshop or a summit or being a speaker somewhere and give some really great sort of actionable steps away. But always remember, they may not be able to actually implement on their own, and they will still need your support. And you actually create a bigger amount of trust when you're giving more, like, so in that sense, because those are the kinds of misconceptions I've heard, the kinds of concerns that my clients have had when it comes to visibility and creating talks and things like that. So Sarah says, if they can see, if they can't see you, yeah, they don't know you, yeah, they can't buy from you. Absolutely. And this is the thing, quite often we just post on social media and it just goes there into the ether, and it's just, you don't know what's going to happen with it. Yes, that's probably one way to do it, but that's not like all of the ways. Like, as much as we'd like to have sort of passive visibility, we have to be active in this sense as well, and really sort of connect with people and show up as well. And the challenge, getting my ideas of being visible into actually doing. Yeah, absolutely. That's the challenge, right? This whole notion of, yes, we may be able to read a book about how to do it. There are the steps are there, but are we going to do it? Are we going to, maybe give up when things aren't quite working, or we're guessing what we're doing is then it's maybe not working. There's this accountability piece as well, that you will be doing it if someone's kind of helping you to do it. So that's the whole conversation about getting some help in your business, and that's why people would pay for your services. So let's go into the whole summit. So who has done a summit before, or has not, or maybe you've attended as a member and just seen one? I'm sure you're probably familiar with some of the summit concepts, or maybe you've been a speaker. Let me know. And how did you find that? Yeah, you attended many. There we go. So you've been a speaker. Yeah, absolutely, Gina. So the thing is, and I tell you my very honest opinion about summits, I get very overwhelmed with summits when there are like 50 speakers. I don't even know where to look, and it's just too much. And so my approach to summits are slightly different, and quite often, and please share your opinions. Have you been to summits where you felt like you didn't really learn anything? There's so much so much selling going on that, you know, every single speaker was selling their program at the end. Quite often that's what's happening. Because when I do my summits, I'm quite strict, as in like who I want to have in my summit, how I organize the whole marketing. Everyone obviously markets as well. So now we're talking about we can tap into other people's audiences, right? But obviously not everyone who comes to a summit really understands the nuts and bolts as to how to get involved and how to really maximize. So you've got to actually animate the whole group. So hosting a summit is like managing a project and motivating others and sort of guiding them, just kind of being a coach, basically. That's really what's happening. And I tend to do only like one summit a year. So what I'm going to do now is, because in the ethos of Evergreen, I'm going to create an Evergreen summit, because I've done it now, got the recordings and the like 30-40 minute speeches, which you can actually have a look at if you wish. They're still on my LinkedIn. There are talks with PowerPoint slides. We've got co-branding, and the call to action at the end is actually joining a community on school. So you don't have all the different freebies. And the content I actually also put into school, which has now become a membership. So I'm telling you this because when you do a summit, you want to be quite diligent, because there's a lot of work involved. You may want to use it as a kind of a launch, but then you may want to use it to seed a membership, or use this the assets later on as well. You could actually every 90 days run that summit again on an Evergreen platform, which I have. So basically I can just use the recordings again and then run it again and promote it again. So that's what I will do actually in January, because it's like the new year, new you kind of thing. And that's actually being promoted into corporates, Sab and Gina. That's actually going into the corporate market, because for corporate professionals, because literally everybody wants to actually up levels of some shape or form in January. So I don't want to just talk to the slide. Actually, I want to show you how that all worked and mechanically, right? So I'm going to stop share this screen and grab my other pages. So we've got the summit registration. So that's how it started. Oh, Christina, nice to see you as well. Let me know in the chat what you do, so I can also grab examples for you in terms of what your CVG solutions. Okay, interesting. So yeah, so this summit was targeted towards corporate professionals, and it's always about empowerment. So it's the Empower Me Now Summit. And it was a 5-day event, and every day we had 3 speakers. So they had register, obviously, with their name and their email. And because I had other people promoting, so I had a basically collaboration with all the speakers, I wanted to track who is inviting who, because when people then come into the membership and they pay, then they'll get commissions as well. So it's actually trackable as well in terms of who brings in who. But obviously that's optional, and it's probably an advanced sort of version. We had 9 different topic areas. And so I went out and was looking for specific speakers for those 9 areas. And then I created banners. Each of the speakers had their titles, the talk titles, which was, well, had to be quite an exciting title to actually entice people in. We created one event for each of the speakers. So actually, if I go to my LinkedIn, I can show you how that was set up. Obviously, everybody was routed to this page to actually register their email and their name, and then at the end, behind that, there would be a welcome email to say, hey, the summit is starting in 3 days, in 2 days, and tomorrow, and then today is day 1. Here are the speakers, here are the links to join, kind of thing, right? So that's what was happening in the background. And then so all the speakers were actually promoting in one go, and we had a bit of a leaderboard going on as well. So, but the main thing is that under my LinkedIn and you feel free to have a look. Obviously I had a banner as well. I should change that now because the summit's now over. It was early October. If I go to my events, for each of the events, so you can still see all the speeches here. Can you see my LinkedIn? Okay, just want to make sure I'm sharing the correct screen. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Is this helpful, guys? Just to kind of showing you like the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, it's great thought starter. Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting you need to run your own summit. You may want to think about another option is perhaps becoming a speaker at a summit. So I'll talk about this in part 2. Obviously, this is more the very advanced sort of version, because I just wanted to create my own events, and I just enjoy doing this kind of stuff because I'm a project manager by heart. My background is project process management. So data protection consultant, Christina. Okay, cool. So yeah, I had events created here, and we streamed through a tool called StreamYard into LinkedIn. So this could be just a useful thing for you to know that you can actually share screens and PowerPoints and stuff like that using a tool called StreamYard. They have a free version, and then I think they have like a upgraded version where you can also stream to YouTube, and then you have all of these things also on YouTube and perhaps also on Facebook if you wish to do that. So yeah, all of these events, and what we did was let's just find one. Can't remember yet. There was a way to actually yeah, this one was, there's an example here. I didn't promote this one. That one was just a test one, but what you can do is you can go and create an event on LinkedIn, and I think you can do this regardless whether you're doing a summit. Say you wanted to become visible, be visible, and do a live stream or a talk. So on LinkedIn, you can create an event through StreamYard. It will look like this, and once you go live through StreamYard, your video will show up in this box, basically. And the great thing about it is you can have a registration, obviously, to come into your email and build your email list, but you can also, so you can have this here, the link, event link, but you can also share, and I'm not sure if I can do this because it's a past event. Normally when it's a future event, you can share and then you can invite people here. So that's great. They put the hand up and they say, hey, I'm interested. So you're not actually cold messaging people who, you know, feels a bit spammy, perhaps. You know, if they say, hey, yeah, I'm interested in this event, you have the, you know, you're allowed to then message them and say, okay, great, thank you for being interested in this event. You may have not seen the event link to register. Here it is again, or I've registered you. If you have if you find an email address on their LinkedIn, then you can do that because obviously it's public. So that's the way to actually get people to your little event. So you might want to do your own little summit and not having like 10 speakers, or maybe just you and 2 other speakers, and you can just do like a 2-hour session and have like a round table or something like this. It doesn't have to be a massive summit like what I'm showing you here. It's just some ideas how you could collaborate and tap into other people's audiences. Christina, you've got a question?
Yeah, and I just wanted to say I do LinkedIn Lives using StreamYard, and it's very good. I tend to do in collaboration with, you know, some colleagues, you know, from one is an HR consultant, the other one is a records manager, because they are, you know, what they deal with, it's in line with data protection, and they're really, really good. So it's a way of boosting your visibility on LinkedIn. It's a way of increasing your connections. You can then use that recording and put it onto your YouTube channel if you wanted to. So it's really, really good. So I would recommend them. Yes, I use the free version of StreamYard, but it's still good.
Yeah,
it looks professional as well.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, that's brilliant. And like, I mean, Sarah, for example, you could, so you got DEI, you got what worked for me. I went into some corporates, or I had some connections in the corporate space, and I asked them, so HR, would you be happy to do a round table with me? So you're now bringing other people's voices to the table, and you could ask them DEI questions like how, what's the best practices in your organization? And they could then invite people from their organization or organizations they're connected with as well, because obviously they would have a network too. So you could also think about not just peers, you could also think about doing a summit with clients, peers, or potential prospects, right? So there's many ways we could think and approach. Actually, what I did was, maybe that's another conversation for another day, I actually started a podcast series where I would interview HR people, and I also wrote a book. I don't know if you can see it with my background right now. Yeah, Shift. It's called Shift, and Gina is in there as well. Yes, there we go. And I actually started this book with the idea I'm going to go and invite other HR people, because I've got like a corporate consulting service that I'm selling as well, and leadership programs, and that worked really, really, really well to do little projects like this. So I started with a podcast before I wrote the book. You're on the front cover too. That's true. You're in a bubble. Yeah. Shall I bring it closer? Yeah. There's Gina. There she is. It's so cool. It was all about the pandemic shifts. Yeah. So yeah, again, books is another way of visibility. But obviously, there's a lot of work behind it. We don't need to necessarily go like advanced route straight away, but just little things like, yeah, let's do StreamYard, maybe 2-3 people together kind of thing. Complement people who might be in sort of peers or complementary services. They bring their people to the table, and you can have a conversation. Cool. Where was I? Yes, and you talked about, Christina, you talked about YouTube. So on YouTube, you can also create short clips. And what I'm also doing now is, like last week, I took my masterclass and I dissected it on a tool that is called Opus Clip Pro. And what I did is I uploaded the masterclass and it dissected it into 30 to 60-second clips. Now, this one wouldn't be fit for a YouTube short because they have to be vertically, because these are, with my slides, it's a horizontal. So I could only have like shorter clips. But now this Opus clip, uploaded it, pressed a button, has now created transcripts for me, has pulled out probably the best bits. It also added little captions. I won't be using all of them because I don't want to have a clip on there talking about my agenda. I'll probably scroll down and talk a bit more where I talk about the meat and potatoes of my presentation, why visibility matters. So it's already given me like a little headline that I can use on YouTube. I can also use that on LinkedIn or Facebook and upload it as a video, right? And I could use this transcript. And if you're familiar with ChatGPT, if you don't want to write yourself, you can just say, hey, can you just rewrite this a bit better? Because that's just literally just what I said with ums and ahs and so on, so right? And you can use that as a post as well. Okay, Sarah, and a whole new world. Yeah, do you know what? I am very lazy when it comes to visibility. I'm always looking for shortcuts because, to be honest, right, we're coaches, we're consultants. We want to do the stuff that we're good at. We don't want to be like do all the marketing 80% of the time. That's why I'm looking for shortcuts and teaching the evergreen stuff, because now I can use this and I can run this every 90 days. I don't have to reinvent the wheel over and over again. The same with my live workshops. I've got them once, I can run them over and over again as well. The same with my social media posts. I've got a system where I run them over and over again as well, right? So we got to think about how can we do this in a clever way? I mean, probably it's useful to I didn't say that I used to be a lean consultant. So I actually sort of Six Sigma, lean, continuous improvement. So I always had to think about how can I do this in a better way that's simpler, and I don't have to redo it over and over again. And that's why the whole Evergreen has actually come to fruition in terms of what I'm talking now. Okay, do you have any other questions around this summit? So I don't know at the moment, I don't have the paid version, but because you can see, Gina, we've got 80, I don't know, maybe 90 minutes when you start of free credit, and I've used like an hour. I think I will actually have to get paid version for it. It's like $15 a month, but maybe you have it for 2-3 months and see how much you actually need, because now you end up having like hundreds of little slits that will last you for a whole year, right? Or create 2-3 free accounts. Start with that. Anyway, you didn't hear that from me. Okay, so that's a little Opus clip. Really cool, powerful little tool. So let's go back to sort of the presentation, because I want to talk a little bit about the guest speaking as well. And then I'll talk about pitfalls and misconceptions, because people might say, well, you know, hosting summits and speaking doesn't work. People have had bad experiences, like people would have had bad experiences with doing Facebook ads and are saying things aren't working. I want to talk you through perhaps why things aren't working for some people and what you need to do in order to make it work, because obviously every strategy would work if you're doing it correctly and if you are consistent as well. So with the obviously becoming a speaker, you could become a speaker with somebody else on a summit, so you don't have to organize and do all the sort of the back office stuff that I was doing. I guess you might want to think about having a talk, your signature talk, something that you can offer, maybe 3. I usually have like 3 things that I can offer. So I'm in a couple of Facebook groups, and you can probably go on, and maybe there's LinkedIn groups as well, where they are looking for speakers in your niche. So just go in and find speakers, maybe corporate speakers, right? If you are going to corporate, or HR type of forums. So there are a couple of HR, I think HR Zone is one, Sarah, that you could go into. They're very strict. Actually, I had to say I work in HR, so they let me in. So there might be an option to go in and say, hey, you know, I'm happy to come and speak. Now there is paid speaking and there is free speaking. Sarah, yeah.
On that subject, before you move on,
Yeah.
I used to be the HR person.
Yeah.
And now I'm external, and I remember full well any approaches from anybody that I felt was trying to sell me something, I would just shut them down.
Yeah.
Because as an HR person, you're just so busy. And I do have a big HR network, but actually getting visibility of and engaging with those individuals is really quite hard. So that's why I'm trying to think creatively about how do I do that.
And this is brilliant that you've got this knowledge already. You've been on that other side of the table. So I think now it's the question, what would make me stop as if I still was in HR? And that goes for you, Gina, and I think Christina as well, as you talking about all these things. What are the things that really makes you different and like more genuine, more approachable, right? Because I get this stuff every day as well in my inbox. I'm getting really annoyed. Like, do you need someone to help you with lead generation? It's just this same sort of blah blah blah, and you think, okay, what could I do? How could I be different? This is why I did my podcast. People, they didn't hear, like they hadn't seen like someone's inviting them to a podcast or a round table. Or I actually had a time when I did a HR forum. Every month I would come together and we did sort of peer networking sessions and sort of a facilitated mastermind group, which was free. Okay, so this was free, but they got to know me and my services, and they really enjoyed those conversations. They hired me as a leadership coach, right? So we got to think outside the box, and there's a lot of sort of free value that we may have to actually offer up front. But then once we obviously get bigger contracts, you know, then obviously we have 5 or 6 figures even. Yeah. So think about those kinds of things. That would be quite useful that you're hosting something like an industry event, perhaps, or industry discussion that gets the interest. Or you're doing a free lunch and learn, for example, for the organization. That could be another thing. And that counts as being a speaker, right? Or you can obviously become a speaker at somebody else's event who already also has an audience and does all the marketing, which is always nice to have as well. Or maybe you're going to go onto somebody else's podcast, right? So people are looking for podcast speakers. Someone just interviewed me for their book. I did a couple of podcasts the other day. And what happens, because I was on somebody else's podcast, they then recommended me to some other people. So I don't always need to go out and find this stuff myself. And something else happened the other day. Someone messaged me whether I'm going to come to this event. It was like it's an event that's happening. By the way, if you're in London, you might want to come to this event, like North London, Beaconsfield area. Let me know. It's like a spiritual sort of retreat event. And I purchased a ticket and got to speak to the organizer. And she said, oh, one of my speakers has cancelled. Would you like to speak on my event? Normally I charge for it. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll speak at your event. So you never know what happens, what's around the corner, right? Right, so what else? What have I got here about guest speakers? Do you have any questions about guest speaking? I mean, obviously there's a whole range of things that I teach to my clients about. This is how you approach it. Like there's certain best practices about how you approach people, how you research people, how you research podcasters, how you then send them a message, and how do you then engage with them. Then there has to be a whole sort of arena around how to promote the guest talk. So with the summit, as to like the pre-summit, the post-summit, and then how to utilize your talk on an evergreen basis. So there's a lot of kind of things here that will obviously help with the visibility, because you don't just want to turn up, do some speaking, and then hope for the best. There's also some marketing around this and sharing it on social media, maybe sending the talk out to your email list with a call to action and things like that as well. Yeah. But obviously I can't teach everything in this 45 minutes. I just wanted to give you sort of a high level and have a bit of a conversation around it. But yeah, it really isn't about perfectionism, being perfect. It's really about being present. It's about showing up with the right mindset, with the right intentions. And yeah, and as I said, Sarah, for you, thinking out the box, how you can be visible without people thinking, oh, this person's going to sell me something straight away. Because you want to be heard, you want to give some opinions. Sometimes it even starts with being present on LinkedIn, the way you may respond to somebody's post, because there is a difference. If you're present on LinkedIn and you give a thoughtful advice to someone on their post, which happens to be a HR person, and you then connect with them afterwards and say, yeah, this was a great post. This was, my view on this, is this. They might then engage with you into more of a conversation and be more open, because you're not selling them straight away. It's actually more of a conversation and a good advice you're giving them. Cool. So I want to go through two more things, which is the misconceptions, because there are objections. People say, no, I don't want to be guest speaking or summit and stuff like that. It doesn't work. But obviously it does not work if you're not following the right steps, if there isn't this marketing, the common marketing between all the collaborators, if that's not in place, if you're not if your keynote, for example, if the content isn't resonating with that audience, then obviously it may not work either. So we don't need to have a big audience to do these things. So that's a misconception as well. It's like we can do it regardless, wherever we are in our business. We just turn up and we're there, right? We're just creating that visibility. It's actually a way to build your audience to do these kinds of sessions. not having a clear call to action, that may be another way to actually not make it work, because if you're not clear as to what you want people to do as a next step, resulting from the from your summit or from your talk, then obviously you're not going to generate the leads and the sales that you want. If you're too salesy as well, that's not really going to go down well. We just had this conversation. Make it interactive, ask questions. That's always a good thing to do as well. You don't have to be a pro speaker. I'm not a pro speaker, but I tell you what, the more you actually engage and the more you're visible, the more you speak, the better you get at that as well. And always remember, we're here to serve. We're here to actually make a difference in other people's lives. Okay, so I want to just close this little bit, sort of bring it to the close, and just bring in this notion of evergreen. So how can we make the speaking evergreen? How can we create, whatever we create through summits, the talks we do, the podcasting, whatever, how can we create evergreen? So number one, we already spoken about the Opus clip. We can upload it there. We can upload it to LinkedIn, to Facebook, but then save these clips somewhere and then reutilize them every 90 days or every 6 months. Just pop them back into your email or upload them back into your LinkedIn, for example, because people will have forgotten. Not everybody watches everything all the time. So remember, we can reutilize the content that we're creating. What else? Any questions around that evergreen notion? Do you guys understand what I mean when it comes to evergreen? Have you got any evergreen thoughts or concepts in your business right now? Would that make sense in terms of going evergreen and reducing perhaps the amount of effort of marketing and making sure, you kind of build in that engine and it just works and you don't have to worry about that too much?
So I've got a podcast as well, and I found a tool called Content Gorilla that can turn any YouTube video into content, so into text. And from there, just a click of a button, it turns that into an article that I can then have on my website. Then I take that content, so the words, put into ChatGPT and get ChatGPT to create social media posts. And I then, so to say, for the full article, click here. So basically, I'm reusing that content to bring people to my YouTube, to my article, to my website, and basically recycle it.
Yep.
So yes, so it's brilliant. I absolutely love it. And it saves me so much time. And yeah, so and I've got so much content that I can now reuse and repurpose. So eliminate duplication. I'm in Six Sigma as well. Sabine.
Oh, brilliant. There we go. So we're thinking along the same lines, right? Yeah, I like that. I really love that. Thank you. So Content Gorilla, we'll have a look at that as well. That's a great tool. So there's always something that we can all learn from each other. Yeah, love it. Love it. So, well, with that, I mean, that's everything from my side. If you enjoyed this, if there's any other golden nuggets that you've picked up, please let me know. I'd love to hear, and obviously always interested to see what people like to hear about and is interested in terms of the talks that I do. So be very happy for any feedback.
Good to have the opportunity to have some discussion, and like Christina's just shared something from her experience. It's this is invaluable. So thank you.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, then sort of my mission for doing this discussion today is actually totally fulfilled. And what I'll do is we'll add that to the checklist, these tools. And actually, IB, if you can just share the checklist, we'll amend it after. At least you guys walk away with the link now, so you have it. And also, if you want to connect with me, what I do is I actually offer a free Evergreen strategy match call. So basically, I have 13 different evergreen strategies that I would normally teach. So this is just one. And what we could do is we could deep dive into your business and have a look at, you know, what is it that you're doing right now, where potentially are the gaps, and what are the other strategies you might want to consider. So you feel free to book. The only thing is I'm going away. I'm going back home to Austria for a week, so it'll probably be in November. I've got the Calendly link for you if you want to connect with me. I'd be very happy to have another conversation. Now, I'd thank you so much for being here today. If there's any other thoughts before we go, feel free to unmute. Otherwise, you're very free to go and enjoy your lunch.
Thank you. It's really good. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Christina and
Nice
Sarah.
to see you, Gina.
Hi, Bea.
Nice
Hi.
to meet
Bye,
you,
take care,
Gina,
Sarah.
Christina.
Bye, Christina.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you, and thank you for your great suggestions.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.